keystoning? What is it? It's going from this to this. Find out more in my upcoming tutorial. We'd like to say thank you for watching. Hi everybody, welcome to Hann-Made Studio. I'm Cheryl Woodlock. Today's subject is all about keystoning for your mosaics. What is keystone? Keystone is the cutting of your tiles to create very few gaps when you are going around in a circle. Stay tuned and I'll show you more. Bye. Keystoning was utilized by the Romans. They were masters of keystoning. And keystoning was called that because the stones were keyed into place. And I'll show you what I mean. They built lots of arches. So this is the wall with the stones. They wanted an arch in place. And they got their brick. But if they put the brick in, there were going to be big gaps. And the big gaps were not going to work. They were not going to key into place, to hold into place. So that is wrong. What they did with their brick is they cut it. So they took off a portion of that. They then moved it into place. And what happened was they ended up with a stone that keyed into place. So the gap was only that large. The next brick would also be cut into place. Now, how did they know and where did they know to cut it? They have a central point. So the central point goes from there, goes into there. The next one is going to go starting there out. So we know that this goes out and it will be cut to there. So this will be cut off and again that goes to there like a clock face. These will be eliminated and the brick will slot into place again. So again, always have your central point. And doing this, the bricks actually couldn't fall down. They were locked into place. And that is how they keyed the stones into place. Let's go all the way around and key. These stones. So here I have a clock face. I have a central point where everything radiates out just like a clock. So that is our 12 o'clock. Whoops. So that is 12 o'clock going to 3 o'clock, going to 9 o'clock. There you go. So this is called keystoning, and we employ keystoning into our mosaics. It means there are less gaps between our tiles. We don't need it for structural purposes, but we need it for composition purposes to employ the keystone technique. So without keystoning, we have these big gaps. I'm going to show you how to do it. So we have our circle. We've drawn it out. We've drawn roughly what size tiles we're going to have. What we need to do is to work out how to get our keystones into place. How are we going to measure our tiles? I have some square tiles that I cut up earlier. That is going to sit into place here. How are we going to measure our tiles? Rather than using real tiles for this purpose, because it's take too long, I'm going to use a piece of paper. Often I suggest to students when they haven't done keystoning before, practice with a piece of paper. It's what we do with children when we're teaching new techniques, and I think it's a really good idea for adults. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a few tiles out of paper. Now, not all the tiles are exact. When you're cutting your tiles, they won't all be exact, and that's okay. And we know that if we do this, we're going to end up with the big gaps. That does not work. How do we go about fixing this? And that's always the big question. I'm going to draw a line with my ruler. So I've got my ruler here. I'm going to mark the center, so I've got X marks the spot. And I'm going to measure from the outside of my tile. And I'm going to then draw that line. Now, that tile is miles too wide. You can see that. That tile is miles too wide at the bottom. I'm going to show you where to cut. I'm going to now mark it along that line. So that is where that line comes through. And that's how much I need to cut off. That is now my template. I can use this on my tile as my template for going around. I can trace it on my template using a marker. I can then use my ruler to draw the line. And then I can cut it. And that is my tile. And that can sit there. I created my first tile. Now I can keep going. Using my original template and marking the sides. Just remember when you're marking, sometimes it's going to be a little bit wider, so you might need to make adjustments for it. Now when you do this, not all the tiles are going to be exactly the same. And that is okay. That's part of the handmade process. We are not machines. So it is nice to see a few differences between each tile. That gives your mosaics, your artwork, its humanity. Another way of cutting your tiles instead of having all your squares ready to go is to do a long strip. You can then use your template and mark your tiles. I can then cut these tiles to fit. And they fit beautifully into a circle. Which technique do you want to use? It's up to you. I prefer this method rather than having all my squares and then cutting. But if you buy tessera or tiles that are already cut into squares, this is where you will need to do a lot more cutting. This is a quicker way of getting your tiles prepared and your keystoning done very, very quickly. This is a big tile that I had. I cut it into strips ready to go. And this is what it looks like on black. So you can see the nice circle happening without the big gaps that we were getting on this. So the circle around here is now without the big gaps. So that is keystoning. Except the smaller ones, the ones in the center, I haven't done as wide because it wouldn't look as good. When you get to the center, it's very, very tiny, and you need, if I did really big wide ones, it would look odd. So I actually made these tiles less wide. They were slightly narrower. Thank you everybody for watching. Keystoning is not an easy thing to do. It is actually quite difficult to understand. My recommendation is to do a lot of practice, to draw, to doodle, and to see what you can create. It is not going to be easy, but the more that you play, the more that you draw, the more you practice going from this to this, the easier it will become. So I'm Cheryl Hann-Woodlot. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.